I know I haven't made a Clemson football video in a while. There's not much to talk about for them right now, considering we're entering the start of the offseason for college football and all that. Maybe I'll do some recruiting videos in the future, maybe some transfer portal videos. But for now, big news for the Clemson Tigers. Defensive end Xavier Thomas is coming back for one more year. This is more recent news. And before that, we'd already been told that KJ Henry, another defensive end for us, is coming back for his fifth year as well. So they're both coming back for a fifth season with the Clemson Tigers, which makes a huge impact for this program because they're going to be losing a lot defensively. You know, with probably Andrew Booth Jr. and Mario Goodrich, the secondary is going to lose two really good corners. And defensively, I wasn't quite sure who was going to step up along that defensive front and really take charge and kind of lead this program going forward. Because we have had a great defensive line going back almost 6-7 years now. And I was kind of worried that we wouldn't have that going forward. But getting Thomas back, getting KJ Henry back, Thomas going to be a star. Henry, a huge rotational player, was very productive, very underrated. Getting both those guys back is going to be huge. And Tyler Davis, one of our great defensive tackles, is not officially declared yet. Is expected. Well, I expected him to declare. He's a junior, I believe, and he's dealt with injury issues the past couple of years, including this season. I kind of expected him to declare because he has the potential to be a borderline top 100 pick in this class. But he might decide to come back and try to put a full year of healthy tape out there for NFL teams, because if he does that, he could be picked in the first 2 rounds. If Davis decides to come back, you have a lineup with Myles Murphy, Xavier Thomas on the edges, and you've got Bryan Bresee come back from major injury, and you get Tyler Davis in the middle. It would be one of the best, from a talent perspective, one of the best defensive lines in all of college football. I think that's going to be 3 5-star recruits in the middle, and Tyler Davis, who might ultimately be drafted the highest of the group, you know, at the end of the day. So you've got all those great players up front. Bresee obviously is a monster. This dude's probably going to be a future first-round pick eventually. If he's able to put everything together this coming season. Myles Murphy has been great as well since his freshman year. And someone like KJ Henry is just a huge boost to have as a rotational guy for you. Just looking at the numbers right now, Thomas only 3.5 sacks this past year. And his big deal is he was coming out, he was a 5-star recruit. You expected him to have huge production. He's never really been that sack artist people kind of expected him to be. And he's been somewhat of a disappointment. Everyone keeps waiting for him to break out. But this past year, I'll tell you, this past year was pretty underrated for him. According to Pro Football Focus, he had 40 pressures. And I know people are not huge fans of PFF, not everyone. But 3.5 sacks, 40 pressures is really good. I mean, compared to his past couple years, just 6 in 2020 when he was barely healthy, barely played, 27 in 2019, 26 pressures in 2018. So from that perspective, from a volume perspective, much more involved and much more productive this past year for Xavier Thomas. And KJ Henry, like I said, I think he's highly underrated as a rotational edge rusher for us. Someone who I think will be drafted eventually when he decides to go to the NFL. 6'4", 260 pounds, 3.5 sacks this past year to go along with 23 pressures, which for him is a career high as well. So I think really getting these guys involved, it's huge for Clemson to have these two guys come back. It's leadership, it's the locker room presence, and it's also just experience in general on a defense that's going to have to get younger here eventually because you're losing a lot of guys, and you've got a lot of guys coming back. Again, at the safety position this year, I expect the guys to come back, but someone like Skalski moving along, you're going to need to get younger, and you're going to need to do it pretty quickly. You're going to need to find ways to replace guys who maybe will decommit or won't decide to come to Clemson after all because Venables is no longer there. Bringing back someone like KJ Henry and Xavier Thomas to put on the field, try to say, hey, you know, we don't have Venables anymore, but we might be losing some guys to the NFL, but we still have this dominant defense. We still have this great defensive front, this great defensive culture here at Clemson. That would be a great way to come out next year. Still have a good defense. Make sure you keep those defensive recruits coming to your school. Make sure you know you're still going to be able to churn out NFL talent on that side of the ball, specifically along the defensive line. And I think that would really help solidify the program moving forward. So, Xavier Thomas coming back. KJ Henry, we already knew, is coming back. 2 big wins for Clemson going forward. And hopefully, this will carry Clemson into like the new post-Brent Venables generation.